Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're completely stripping away all that intimidating tech jargon and breaking down exactly how generative AI works. And we're going to do it in 7 simple, highly logical steps. Whether you're trying to boost your daily productivity, wrap your head around the tech that's literally shaping our future, or you just want to know how this stuff actually functions under the hood, you are absolutely in the right place. We're going to map out the journey of AI, shifting it from this mysterious black box into an eager apprentice, and finally into a masterful tool that you can completely command. Let's get right into it. So here's the biggest question right now, right? Can AI actually think? I mean, we see it writing poetry and coding whole websites, so it is super easy to assume there's a little brain in there. But there's not. The truth is, AI doesn't think like a human at all. It's actually much more like a highly enthusiastic, literal-minded student that just predicts answers based purely on mathematical probabilities. No self-awareness, it just calculates. And grasping that core distinction, that it's a calculator of words and patterns, not a conscious being, is absolutely crucial. It's your very first step to mastering how you actually use it day to day. Here's our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll start with what Gen AI actually is, move into its learning phase, check out the action phase where it gets to work, dive into the output mechanics, look at real-world tools, and finally, tackle its limits and the future. All right, Section 1, what is Gen AI? The smart creator. Simply put, generative AI works like a smart assistant that studies a massive amount of pre-existing examples to generate entirely new text, images, audio, or code. And look, it's really crucial to understand right off the bat. This is not a search engine. When you ask it a question, it's not just running off and copying pasting an article from some giant database. No, it is dynamically generating brand new content based on the deep structural patterns it learned. It's less like a librarian handing you a book someone else wrote, and way more like a lightning-fast author writing a completely custom book just for you, right on the spot. Pretty wild, right? Moving on to Section 2, the learning phase, educating the apprentice. So how does this apprentice learn so much in the first place? Well, it happens in 3 foundational steps during the learning phase. Now, keep in mind, the AI basically starts from absolute zero, a totally blank slate. No innate human knowledge, no common sense. So it goes through Step 1, data collection, then Step 2, training the model, and finally Step 3, pattern understanding, to connect all those dots. Let's look at how it builds this immense knowledge base from scratch. Imagine a student reading hundreds of thousands of books, websites, and images to learn everything. That is Step 1. Data collection. The AI reads millions of blogs, books, websites, code repositories, you name it. It consumes all this raw information at just a massive scale and incredible speed. But here's the main takeaway for us. An AI is exactly as good as what it learns from. It's the classic rule, right? Garbage in, garbage out. If the initial data is clear and factual, its future outputs are going to be highly accurate. If that training data is messy, biased, or just plain confusing, the quality drops off a cliff. The entire foundation relies completely on its reading material. Next up, Step 2, training. Now, during this phase, it doesn't just memorize data like a stressed-out student cramming for a final exam. If it did that, it could only repeat exactly what it read. Instead, it elegantly learns the underlying grammar and the rules of the content. It's learning how sentences are logically structured, how specific words connect, and how tone shifts from, say, a formal essay to a casual text message. By mastering these foundational rules, instead of just memorizing exact sentences, it gains this incredible superpower to create entirely new concepts on the fly. And that brings us to Step 3, pattern understanding. This is where the AI becomes significantly smarter by connecting all those dots together. It's observing deep, complex relationships in the data. It learns story flow, logical sequences, even problem-solving structures. For example, it knows that if a sentence starts with "how are," the absolute most likely next word is going to be "you." Because it understands these mathematical connections, it doesn't just parrot things back. It can actually reason through scenarios and solve problems it's never explicitly seen before. Which brings us nicely to Section 3, the action phase, the conversation. Okay, our student is fully educated and raring to go. This is where theory turns into practice, and it relies on a 3-step dance. Your prompt input, the AI's core prediction process, and the final output generation. And honestly, this action phase is where you take control. You are in the driver's seat here, directly triggering this vast knowledge base to work on your specific behalf. Step 4 is the prompt input. This is where you actively guide the AI, and frankly, it's where most people get it completely wrong. Think of it like asking an expert assistant a question. A vague prompt like write about AI gets a super broad, generalized answer that honestly isn't very useful. But a clear, specific prompt like write a beginner-friendly AI blog intro, now that yields a high-quality, targeted response. Remember this key takeaway. Your input is the steering wheel. The more specific and detailed your instructions are, the much better your final output is going to be. Step 5 is the prediction process, the true core engine of the whole thing. As we mentioned earlier, it doesn't actually think about the answer. Instead, it builds responses step by step using probability. It calculates the most probable next word based on its massive training data. It is literally functioning exactly like that auto-suggest tool you use when texting on your smartphone, just on a massive, incredibly complex scale. It works word by word, rapidly calculating probabilities in milliseconds and stringing them together until a full, coherent response appears right before your eyes. Let's look closer at how that works in Section 4, Output Mechanics, the heart of AI. The real heart of modern generative AI is the LLM, or Large Language Model. Now, don't let the technical term intimidate you at all. These are simply deep learning models trained on massive amounts of text to predict and generate human-like language. When you hear folks talking about the engine powering these amazing tools, this LLM architecture is exactly what's making all those rapid-fire probabilistic predictions happen. To give you its final answer, the LLM uses a few truly brilliant techniques behind the scenes. First, tokenization. This chops long sentences into bite-sized, digestible pieces that the computer can easily handle. Next, embeddings, which translate words and their meanings into numbers because, hey, that's the language machines actually speak. Then we have attention mechanisms. These act like a spotlight, helping the AI focus on the most important words in your prompt so it doesn't lose the plot. And finally, context windows. This is basically its short-term memory, deciding exactly how much of your conversation it can remember at any one time. All right, Section 5, Real-World AI, the apprentice at work. Let's look at how this plays out today, because the applications are incredibly diverse. We're way beyond just text here. Whether it's chatting naturally with ChatGPT or Google Gemini, writing structured content with Jasper AI, generating stunning, brand new artwork from a simple text prompt with using Midjourney or DALL-E, or even getting coding assistance with GitHub Copilot. Generative AI covers a lot of ground. And here's why this actually matters to you. These aren't just fun little novelties. These are practical, everyday tools designed to fundamentally accelerate your workflow, automate the boring, repetitive tasks, and save you countless hours. Which leads us to our final part, Section 6, Limits and the Future. The continuous loop. Step 7 is continuous learning. You see, the AI isn't just fixed in place once it's built. It is constantly improving. By absorbing new data, using better training models, and processing our constant user feedback, newer versions become significantly more accurate. They follow complex instructions better and make way fewer mistakes. It evolves step by step, kind of like we do with practice, but it heavily relies on our feedback and interactions to actually get there. But, and this is a big but, here is your reality check. AI fundamentally lacks true understanding. Because it is ultimately just an extremely advanced pattern recognizer, it can confidently hallucinate entirely incorrect answers and present absolute fiction as absolute fact. Its reliability completely depends on the quality of its initial data, and that is exactly why it requires a human in the loop, your review, your critical thinking, and your guidance to be truly safe and effective in the real world. Generative AI is, without a doubt, your smartest apprentice. It's a wildly powerful probabilistic tool that can save you immense amounts of time, dramatically boost your productivity, and spark ideas you might never have thought of on your own. But an apprentice still absolutely needs a master to prompt it correctly, review its work, and guide its output. So now that you know exactly how it learns, predicts, and generates from the ground up,